I don't know if you guys have seen the new Bill and Ted movie that came out yesterday. Midnight's Edge is another one of these channels that talks about, like, oh, get woke, go broke. And this video is about, did Bill and Ted go woke? A brief history of wokeness in film. So I'm curious what he's going to say about the new Bill and Ted movie, because the minute that, like, the movie ended, even before the movie ended, because I think the ending is relatively predictable, Baja Blast predicted it in, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie. By the way, the Bill and Ted movie, if you like the series, the third one's pretty good. I don't know if it's my favorite one in the series or anything, but it's a good movie, and it's a nice ending to the series. It's cool seeing them as Bill and Ted again. There's a lot of fun stuff. The robot's my favorite new character in the movie. He's very, very funny. Once you, like, see his personality come out later. And, Dennis, yes, his name is Dennis. Dennis the robot. I forget his middle and last name. But yeah, it's a fun little movie. This might include some spoilers if you care about spoilers in a Bill and Ted movie. But again, the spoiler is really, really obvious, and you're gonna figure it out in the first 10 minutes of the movie anyway. So just let you know, Dennis something McCoy, yeah. Thank you, iSlay, for following. Appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. So this video is about, did Bill and Ted go woke? A brief history of wokeness in film from Midnight's Edge. Let's see what he has to say.
How woke is Bill and Ted Face the Music? Ever since the first trailer for Bill and Ted Face the Music, only one thing put a slight dent into the excitement fans felt over seeing Bill and Ted again. The nagging concern that Bill and Ted might have gone woke.
There are women in this film? Woke. We can't have vaginas in this movie film. Bill and Ted is all about penises.
We'll begin this video by first addressing why so many have started recoiling from any movie or TV series that even hints at being woke, what had fans worried about Bill and Ted Face the Music in particular, and finally reveal whether or not Bill and Ted have really gone woke.
It'll be cool and surprising if at the end he says it didn't, because it did a thing that I feel like people like this would get mad at.
Before we proceed, please be advised that there will be spoilers.
A brief history
It was in
of
2015 that we...
2015, when wokeness was invented. No movie involved progressive politics before they put a lady and a black guy in a Star Wars movie.
first got a glimpse of things to come.
Cosmic Sean 92 with 100 bits. Bill and Ted have been woke since the first movie. Their whole thing is be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes. I agree. It's so ridiculous. Like, have these people never seen a movie in their life that existed before The Force Awakens? There are tons of movies that advocate for, like, progressive concepts, for inclusiveness. Like, what do these people think? It makes sense if they're all, I guess, if they're all, like, 18, and the only movies they've ever really thought about are Star Wars movies, and they didn't notice any, like, subtext at any point in any other movie they've ever watched, and then they see a Star Wars movie and it's got a woman as the main character, and they're like, wait a minute, I can't relate to this character because they got titties! Very strange.
Lucasfilm, which had been bought by Disney, had made its first Star Wars movie with The Force Awakens, directed by J.J. Abrams. In the film, we are introduced to a young scavenger named Rey,
He's really gonna go here, isn't he? Okay.
who seems to wield extraordinary force abilities with absolutely no prior training.
Yeah, so did, like, Anakin Skywalker. He had, like, precognitive abilities that let him be a pod racer. He was the only human who could pod race. Do you not remember that?
It also reintroduces us to a more mature Han Solo, who has walked out on his wife, Leia, and their son to resume his life of smuggling.
Honestly, that made sense to me, too. I don't think Han Solo would be the type of person who would work with settling down with a family. You know what I mean? I get that, like, him and Leia wanted a relationship, but it just doesn't seem like it would have worked out to me. It makes sense that they would have split up at some point.
It was a year later that wokeness hit the mainstream with Paul
Why are there women in my Ghostbusters movie? Look, the problem with this movie was not that it was women. The problem with the Ghostbusters 2016 movie was that it was, like, too much improv. It was, like, all improv, and I don't think it was particularly funny improv. That was the problem with that movie, not that they were women.
Ghostbusters 2016, a movie that went out of its way to portray every single male character as evil, inept, or both.
I'm trying to think. It's been a long time since I've seen this. I only saw it, like, once when it came out. I know Kevin, who was the receptionist, was kind of an idiot, but that was, like, the joke. And the bad guy is, like, a weird incel type, but I don't remember any other characters in the movie.
And has only gotten worse since. In July of 2017, British actress Jodie Whittaker was announced to be taking over.
Has this guy seen a single episode of the Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who? Because it hasn't really been, like, super woke or anything. The Doctor's just a woman. Like, they barely mention it ever. And when they do, it comes up as, like, a joke. It doesn't tie into the plot, like, at all.
For the role of the Doctor in the long-running BBC series Doctor Who. The announcement also came on the heels of Broadchurch creator Chris Chibnall assuming the role of showrunner. What followed has been a steady ratings decline ever since.
Well, that's just because Chibnall's not a very good writer for Doctor Who. That's not Jodie's fault. That has nothing to do with wokeness. It has everything to do with Chris Chibnall being a bad Doctor Who showrunner. I think his episodes are quite bad. It's not about wokeness. And the retcons he did in, like, the season finale last year, whoo boy. That's a discussion for a completely different day. But at the end of the day, it's Doctor Who, it's fine. I think the next season might be their last season, which is reasonable. A lot of showrunners only stay for, like, 3 series over, like, it's been 4 years or so. Matt Smith stayed for 3 seasons. Capaldi stayed for 3 seasons. Tennant, I think, stayed for 3 seasons. And then some, like, specials. Like, that's not unreasonable. That sounds about right to me that they're gonna leave.
And the permanent alienation of some of its longtime fans.
The Doctor is a woman now! I'm alienated permanently! That's weird. I don't understand what you liked about Doctor Who. If, like, understanding and accepting all sorts of different people isn't part of your ethos. What did you like about Doctor Who? Because that's a huge theme in the show. Is, like, love and understanding for people who are different than you. That's, like, a key theme to the show.
In September of
The Timeless Child BS is what has alienated me. Yeah, I hope they retcon the Timeless Child stuff, but even if they don't, I can ignore it. I don't care.
that year, Star Trek Discovery debuted on the CBS television network, with the series then continuing on its primary home, CBS All Access. Star Trek Discovery was touted as the first time a woman of color would lead a major science fiction franchise.
The first season of Discovery wasn't that great, but I actually really liked Discovery Season 2, and I'm excited for Season 3. So...
However, the fans didn't exactly take to the series. Star Trek Discovery, or STD as it became known in certain fan circles,
ah-ha-ha-ha, so clever, STD, ah-ha-ha-ha-ha. Star Wars, or sorry, not Star Wars, Star Trek is doing really well right now. Not only is Star Trek Discovery getting its 3rd season soon, Star Trek Picard just came out. Yes, you can have opinions on that. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but that's out. They're having a new Strange New Worlds show, which is going to be the Pike Spock spinoff on the Enterprise prior to Kirk taking over. We have Lower Decks, which just came out. I think there's another, like, section whatever. I forget the name of the secret branch of the secret intelligence branch of Starfleet. They're getting a spinoff. Like, there's going to be, like, 5 Star Trek shows on the air at the same time. Star Trek is clearly doing well ratings-wise. Otherwise, why would they put so much money into it?
reviled for its major deviations from Trek lore.
Oh, no, not the lore. Who cares, man?
It was also lambasted by fans for portraying its main character, Michael Burnham, as a Mary Sue who could do no wrong.
What? Did you even watch the first season of the show? In the first episode, she commits mutiny. Her entire character arc in the first season is learning not to be like that and to learn to uphold, like, the ideals of Starfleet and not be such a jerk. Like, that's her arc!
In whom everyone would merely stand around and wait for her to solve whatever problem of the week that might endanger the ship.
Do I need to bring up Star Trek The Next Generation and how early on Wesley would sometimes fix problems? Or, like, Data would solve a problem? Like, Star Trek is always about some character figuring out the problem last minute with some technobabble and then saving the ship. That's how Star Trek works. You start with, like, a captain's log or something, or in the case of this show, like a first officer's log or whatever. You get the problem, you have some issues with the problem, you have some character interactions, the problem gets worse, someone does some technobabble, they solve the problem, end of episode, next week, rinse, repeat.
The series would also admittedly portray its main antagonists, the Klingons, as stand-ins for right-leaning conservatives.
I mean, a little. They're certainly, like, they're very make Kronos great again, if you know what I mean.
As a result, CBS All Access...
I don't get the criticism either. Hey, bud, if you're a right-winger who likes Star Trek, I have bad news for you, bud. Star Trek has never been for you. Ever. Like, did you miss the entirety of the point of all of Star Trek?
has yet to make a major penetration into the streaming market. A follow-up series, Star Trek Picard, which portrayed one of the most beloved characters in television history as a doddering fool, constantly apologizing for his privilege, while simultaneously showing...
Jazzy good gnome, how are these people watching the same thing I do and arrive at such stupid conclusions? I have no idea.
...woman of color as a homeless, drug-addicted deadbeat parent, only served to exacerbate fan discontent.
Jesus
However,
Christ.
the biggest offender of that year was Star Wars The Last Jedi.
I love Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
Written and directed by Rian Johnson. The hero of the galaxy, Luke Skywalker, went from being a paragon of virtue.
He was not a paragon of virtue! Oh my god. Did you miss, like, the entirety of the beginning of Return of the Jedi when he's wearing all black and it's questionable whether or not he's gonna turn to the dark side? That's a part of his character. It's like these people think of Luke Skywalker not as he is in the movies, but like the Luke Skywalker they had in their head when they were playing with the action figures as a kid, and they're like, I'm Luke Skywalker! I'm a good guy! Yay! I'll defeat evil! Rah! And that's who they think Luke Skywalker is in their head because that's the character he was when they were playing with the toys. And they completely disregard what actually happened in the movies.
To a broken shell of a man who contemplated murdering his nephew and who sequestered himself on an island awaiting death.
Yes, he'd almost killed his nephew because he foresaw that he was going to become the next Darth Vader. After losing tons of people and realizing what destruction that would reap in the galaxy, he almost made a decision that would have been a dark side decision. At the last minute, he changed his mind, but it was too late. Kylo had seen what he was about to do, and in effect, he had a self-fulfilling prophecy that drove him further to the dark side. And in admittance of that mistake, he went and became a loner because he knew that he had made such a mistake that it almost destroyed, that it brought the galaxy to the brink yet again. That's perfectly in line with his character. Jesus. Well, they didn't portray Luke as a literal god up on a pedestal, so why is he drinking green milk? Huh? Luke Skywalker doesn't need to drink anything or poop or pee, because he's like Kim Jong-un. He's a god. He's just amazing.
While Rey is now all-powerful with no training and for no...
Did you miss in The Last Jedi when they do the training montage and he trains her? Did you miss the entirety of that whole chunk of the movie? Because that's part of the movie you're criticizing.
No reason. Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, the hero of the previous movie, was now relegated to being scolded by a condescending purple-hair...
Oh no! The boss is a woman and she's telling a man what to do? We can't have that, because clearly the person in the room with the penis should always be in charge. This is my least favorite criticism of The Last Jedi. Like, he was being an idiot. Poe Dameron showed himself to be irresponsible multiple times in the movie, and he got demoted for doing so. He was not owed an explanation by Laura Dern's character. He had just been disciplined. My goodness, people.
Admiral Holdo, played by Laura Dern, who gets most of the fleet killed because she refused to share her plan with her senior officers. In 2009,
And yet she helped save the Resistance, and otherwise it would have been destroyed completely. The Undercover Beast, 300 bits, my last Star Wars thought. The entitled personal catering angle can maybe be solved by video games. Give us more Star Wars games that let us choose our path, that put us in the part of the galaxy we want to be in. Maybe we'd be talking less about movies, good or bad, and more about our virtual adventures if we had a new expanded universe that took away from the movies themselves. No. These people will never be happy. They want literally every piece of media to be tailored specifically for them, and if it doesn't fit what they want exactly, then it is attack on them personally. They're delusional narcissists.
the Terminator franchise was rebooted yet again, with the film Terminator.
If bad Terminator sequels are woke fodder, then I hate to tell you this, but then the majority of the Terminator movies ever made are woke fodder.
There's nothing funny about the two.
Every Terminator movie after T2 has been bad. This is not a surprise, and it's not due to wokeness or whatever. Hannah, you don't understand. A woman can't be helpful. They must be sexy and damsels. Be seen, not heard. Apparently.
Terminator Dark Fate. In the first act, John Connor, the savior of humanity in the war against Skynet, is gunned down by Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 at a beachside restaurant in front of his mother, Sarah.
Yes. And?
The movie introduces a new character, a cybernetically augmented soldier named Grace, sent back from the year 2042 to protect a young Mexican girl named Danny, played by Natalie Reyes, from a new Terminator, the Rev-9, played by Gabriel Luna. Later in the film, the T-800, having no purpose since he has fulfilled his mission, has pursued a life of domesticity, humiliated and emasculated under the name...
Emasculated? What? Doesn't he live in like a cabin in the woods or something? The fact that these people think any time, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't literally putting a gun in someone's face and pulling the trigger is apparently emasculating. Ridiculous.
Carl, as an interior decorator. Director Tim Miller said of the new female protagonist, Grace, "If you're at all enlightened, she'll play like gangbusters. If you're a closet misogynist, she'll scare the fuck out of you."
I guess he was right, because here you are making a whole part of your video about it. Weird.
Because she's tough and strong, but very feminine. Needless to say, his comments didn't help, as Terminator Dark...
They called me out on the exact thing that I was thinking, so... that made it worse! No, dude, you're just like... exactly the stereotype that he's talking about.
Fate reportedly went on to lose an estimated $120 million.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Terminator sequels had that problem because they're all bad.
The year 2019 also saw the most woke of all films, Captain Marvel.
The most woke film in history. You know, a film that advertises the United States Air Force. Come on, little girls, we need more female drone pilots. Come on, sign up today so we can blow up some brown people. Oh, by woke you mean it starred a woman that you don't like? Oh, okay, just checking.
Carol Danvers had been a fan favorite in Marvel Comics throughout the 70s and up through the 80s.
She still is. She's very popular.
However, this version of the character was inspired by the Kelly Sue DeConnick retooling. The main plot point of the story is that throughout her life, Carol Danvers' biggest enemy wasn't the Skrulls or the Kree. It was men keeping her down.
Yeah, that's a theme that resonates with women. I know you're not a woman, so you wouldn't understand that. And I'm trans, so I didn't necessarily grow up, like, being treated as a woman, so I'm not even saying it's something that I understand completely. But at the end of the day, after talking with a lot of cis women about this, yeah, that's a problem that comes up a lot. Being told by dudes, like, you can't do this thing, you shouldn't do this thing, you should be this thing. That's why it made over $1 billion. It resonated with people.
And all she had to do was literally stand up. Though the film was a financial success, it was not helped by the negative publicity surrounding its star, Brie Larson.
It's the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. It made over $1 billion. It's one of the most profitable Marvel movies, which is one of the most profitable series of all time. What a failure. Undercover Beast with 200 bits. At this point, can we charge this dude in the quartering with grand larceny? Go woke, earn $1 billion. True.
Her comments regarding the film A Wrinkle in Time became an internet meme.
Yeah, because weirdos like you completely misrepresented what she said. If you haven't seen Brie Larson's original comments, she basically says, hey, you know, Wrinkle in Time got a lot of bad reviews, but maybe if the review community wasn't made up of over 3/4 men, which it is if you look this up. I looked this up when I was talking about it to someone the other day. It's like 3/4 men and majority white dudes, straight white dudes. Like, maybe if we had some voices out there who were coming from, like, different perspectives, like more female reviewers, then these movies would get a better shot. And you don't even have to like A Wrinkle in Time to agree with this, but what she's saying holds true, that, like, hey, we have a lot of homogeneity in the opinions coming out of the review community in Hollywood. It would be great if we could get more diverse opinions and viewpoints out there. And then people on the internet, like The Quartering and this guy Midnight's Head, just went, what? You want different opinions? No! The objectively right opinion is the opinion of a straight white man! And they freaked out and acted like Brie Larson got up on stage and was, like, literally calling for people to castrate, like, straight white dudes. Absolutely ridiculous. These people are self-parodies.
And the backlash that ensued led to changes in the Rotten Tomatoes rating system in order to prevent what Rotten Tomatoes asserted was review bombing.
Because it was being review bombed by you guys. It literally was. Do you not remember that? It was hilarious. You guys were like, oh, Brie Larson said a thing I don't like. I'm gonna go give Captain Marvel 1 star. You people are children. The movie made over $1 billion.
While not fully quote-unquote woke, Avengers Endgame did give us a possible glimpse into the future of the MCU, where, for no apparent
Oh my god, there was a 10-second scene where all the female characters were on screen together and helping each other out.
reason and against all logic, every female character managed to converge at the same place at the same time on a battlefield that spanned miles.
Yeah? Are we seriously trying to bring, like, logic into your superhero movie now?
There's nothing funny.
I don't know how to tell you this,
capitalism.
but, like, aliens also can't invade the Earth and be fought by, like, super beings. So if we're gonna talk about logic... Oh, also, there aren't, like, magical stones that if you put them on a magic glove can snap away half the population of the universe. Are we really gonna bring this into it? Because I can do this all day. Cosmic Sean, 92 with 100 bits. Females!
Also in that year, Charlie's Angels was rebooted, this time directed by Elizabeth Banks, in which Sir Patrick Stewart is made to be the villain.
Okay, I didn't see Charlie's Angels. In fairness, no one did, so... I don't know why they even tried to make Charlie's Angels reboot. It's not about the fact that it's like a women, like, movie starring women or whatever. I just don't think anyone cares about Charlie's Angels. It was a weird choice.
On its opening weekend, the girl power heavy film made only $6 million in the US on a budget of $48 million. In 2020, the film Birds of Prey, perhaps one of the most grievous examples, was released. In the film,
Birds of Prey didn't make money. A, because the advertising was very confusing and the name of the movie is very stupid. It should have just been called, like, Harley Quinn or something. But secondly, people saw it and are like, oh, is this related to that Suicide Squad movie? That sucks. It follows a trend. If you look at the DC... Hold on. If you look at the DCEU movies, they've continually made less and less money over time. Global box office revenue of DC Comics movies from 2004 to 2019. They've gone down and down and down and down and down. That's not a very helpful graph, considering it's not labeled. How about this one? Superman Returns. Nope, that's the wrong era. What about this one? That's still the Superman Returns one. Let me find a better graph. That only goes up to Justice League. Wonder Woman. I gotta find one with all of them, though. Come on. I know I've seen a graph before, but basically, if you look at the trend for the DCEU movies, they've continually made less and less money because people don't like the movies. It has the opposite effect of the Marvel movies, right? Because the movies just keep sucking, and if you keep making bad movies, people aren't going to see them. And I don't even think Birds of Prey is a bad movie. I think it's entertaining, but the fact that it's tied to this universe that almost no one likes, and I understand there are people who like Zack Snyder, but, like, even this isn't going to be good for them because it's not a Zack Snyder movie. It's quite the opposite. They're trying to do more like a Marvel thing here. So, I don't know. It's not because it's woke. It's because it's tied to a universe no one really cares for.
Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, spends most of her time trying to prove she doesn't need the Joker, while hiding behind her relationship.
Right. That's like a big thing with the Harley Quinn character. Have you seen the Harley Quinn animated show that's quite good too, or read the Harley Quinn comic? Harley Quinn deals with the fact that she's in this, like, awful, abusive, codependent relationship with the Joker, and when she leaves him, whether it be in the show or the movies or the comics, it's always a struggle for her to handle that, because it's like she's drawn to him. That's part of her character.
Ewan McGregor's Black Mask is portrayed as misogynistic and as homosexual. As
people said he was gay in the movie, and after I watched it, if they did that, it was, I don't know if I want to say subtle, because he had a bit of an affect, but, like, I don't think it was obvious, if that makes sense. And yeah, he's being a misogynist. That's fine for the antagonist of the movie.
It's confirmed by star Ewan McGregor. The film performed so poorly that it was retitled in its second week from Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, to simply Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
Yeah, they had huge advertising problems. The original title was a bad idea. They should have just called the movie Harley Quinn. You don't even need to put the Birds of Prey on it, because they only form at the very end of the movie. It's mostly about Harley Quinn. Just call it Harley Quinn, and then if you want, like, a subtitle, that's fine. They really dropped the ball on the advertising for this movie.
The name change didn't help. On an $84.5 million budget, Birds of Prey made $33 million domestically. Worldwide, it made only $81 million. Though these films may have been made at different times,
Dude, it's not about... But see, you see how this, like, doesn't apply equally? They say, like, see, get woke, go broke. But, like, okay, you mentioned Captain Marvel. It's one of the most profitable Marvel movies ever made. What do you mean, get woke, go broke? It really seems like the trend here is make a bad movie, go broke. Make a movie in a series no one likes, go broke. But, like, if you make a movie that's woke, and it's good, and it's part of a series people like, you make a bunch of money. So, what are you talking about? The Star Wars movies all made money. Captain Marvel made money. The ones that didn't were because they were already in a series that was downhill and no one wanted to see. No one wanted to see another Terminator film. No one wanted to see another DCEU film. At least not unless you're one of the people who wants the Snyder cut. And even then, you don't want a non-Snyder one. You don't like the fun, like, movies. You like the dour, overly serious Snyder stuff. So, what's the trend here? Good movies make money. Movies that are in series that no one cares for don't make money. It has nothing to do with this perceived wokeness.
They all seem to have a common thread, and that has raised the ire of audiences.
Oh good, we're on Bill and Ted finally.
In recent years, a word has taken hold of many in Hollywood. That term is deconstruction. More often than not, it is the trend that sees a franchise or...
Deconstruction is not a new thing. Do you not understand that deconstruction is a very common tool? Like, even Batman v Superman draws a lot of its imagery from The Dark Knight Rises, which is a deconstruction of Batman and superheroes in general. This is not a new thing.
Or a popular character, where the main character has been quite literally destroyed for the sake of destroying him, or in order to make other characters look better by comparison. This is the veil under which quote-unquote wokeness is often disguised.
What? Why are you using this picture? This doesn't even take place in the same universe as the original Ghostbusters, so why are you using this in your discussion about deconstruction? 2016 Ghostbusters is not a deconstruction of the original Ghostbusters, it's just a Ghostbusters movie.
All of these films and properties take well-established and beloved characters, tear them down to the point where they are unrecognizable, and many go out of their way to portray the male characters as incompetent, inept, and foolish.
Bill Murray isn't playing the same character in Ghostbusters that he was in the original Ghostbusters. Do you even watch the movie? Or do you just look at screenshots and then make up in your head why you don't like it? I agree, I don't like Ghostbusters 2016. But this is not the Bill Murray character from the original Ghostbusters. What are you talking about?
Audiences, feeling betrayed by filmmakers and studios who believe that they know better, have been voting with their wallets. Many of these films have been financial failures.
And it had nothing to do with their wokeness. It had to do with, in this case, no one cares about Charlie's Angels.
Which has given rise to the mantra of, get woke, go broke.
Which is why Captain Marvel is the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. Got it.
The sacrificing of male characters
and why The Last Jedi still made a ton of money. And even though Rise of Skywalker made less money, it still made all the money. Let's see. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to do that.
In order to build up female characters was a concern for many fans of the Bill and Ted movies. Especially when they heard that rather than Bill and Ted having sons, they have daughters. And that the daughters are actually the ones who gave Bill and Ted the song that united all of reality.
Rise of Skywalker made over $1 billion. Last Jedi made $1.3 billion. The Force Awakens made $2 billion because it was the first Star Wars movie in over a decade. These movies all made money. What are you people talking about? The delusion is staggering.
Those concerns, given recent history, may be valid. However, as Rufus said, sometimes things don't make sense until the end of the story. Bill and Ted Face the Music could have easily gone awry, though many have concerns.
So he does like Bill and Ted Face the Music, even though you could argue it goes as woke as the other ones. Bill and Ted has always been inclusive. And spoilers for the new Bill and Ted movie. If you don't want spoilers for Bill and Ted, mute this now. This is where the spoilers start. I know it just came out yesterday. Let me tell you though, it doesn't, it's not going to ruin your movie experience. Bill and Ted isn't about like, ooh, the twist. You're going to guess the twist in the first 10 minutes anyway. So I'm giving you a second to mute this. Alright, so, in Bill and Ted Face the Music, which is quite funny, I suggest you rent it or buy it or whatever. It's on streaming services now. And frankly, I'd recommend you rent it and not pirate it specifically because I want it to make money on streaming because I'd like more movies to go straight to streaming. I'm sick of going to the movie theater. They're two old men now, that's the twist. Okay, so, the twist is, if you haven't seen the trailers for the movie, basically it's been, however many years since the last Bill and Ted movie. They are no longer famous. They didn't unite the world like they were supposed to. And they're spending all their time trying to write the song that's supposed to, like, unite the world like that Rufus said they would in the first movie. As it turns out, they get more specific about the prophecy in this one, and it's that Preston and Logan will write the song to unite the world and save the universe, because as it turns out, San Dimas, California, where they live, in 2020, is like it's like the focal point of all time and space, which is funny. That's a very Bill and Ted thing. San Dimas, California is the middle point in time and space. So stuff starts happening where, like, characters or people from different time periods start jumping from place to place, like George Washington shows up in present day, stuff like that. And playing this song in San Dimas at a specific place at a specific time will fix this. And not only fix this, but bring the universe together, as Rufus talked about in the earlier movies. So the whole movie, they're trying to figure out how to get this song. They go to the future to try and steal the song from themselves. They have these daughters who were the same people who were at the end of the Bill and Ted movie. They called them Little Bill and Little Ted in Bill and Ted 2, but in this movie they explain, like, yeah, they called them that, but really it's like Billy and I forget what the little Ted's name was. But they're their daughters, and the daughters then go on their own separate time travel adventure where they try and make a band out of some of the best musicians in history. You have, like, Jimi Hendrix. You have, it wasn't Beethoven, was it Mozart? I don't know, some famous pianist, and a bunch of other musicians, and they get together. And then at the end, they realize, oh, the song that's supposed to unite the world is supposed to be written by Preston and Logan, which are Bill and Ted's last name. But it's not supposed to be us, it's our daughters. So then the daughters basically create the song that's supposed to unite the world. That's the end of the movie. And Bill and Ted and Death and the rest of the band all play the song, and it saves the universe. And it's fun. It's a fun movie. I'm surprised that the people who are like all this, like, get woke, go broke, aren't mad that Bill and Ted turn out the prophecy isn't really about them. It's shocking to me. Louis Armstrong, yeah. Oh, her name's Thea. Yep, thank you. Oh, and Dennis dances, yes. The robot's the funniest part of the movie.
Characters of Bill and Ted would be changed to fit a woke agenda. They have not.
Bill and Ted have always been incredibly inclusive and understanding. They're not the smartest people, but they're positive, upbeat, caring individuals, right? They're already woke.
They are the same lovable, innocent guys that we last saw in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Their music career may have stalled, however, they still have the same optimistic outlook on life, and never once have strayed from their path. When doubt does creep in, a friendly reminder of their importance arrives in the character of Kelly, played by Kristen Schaal. The daughter
They did say the F word in the original. They were also high schoolers in the 80s, which was a common thing. I'm not excusing that behavior because it was never okay, but, like, contextually, I understand why they would say that, even if they were pretty understanding individuals.
of Rufus, played by George Carlin. Rufus still remains the guiding hand to Bill and Ted, and when his wife conspires to subvert history by pursuing her own agenda, Rufus is ultimately proven right, and Kelly's unshakable faith in her father was ultimately vindicated. It was never about the song. It was about Bill and Ted, who figured out it was they who were the ones that made everyone play the song across time and space to save reality.
It was kind of about all of them working
What
together,
fans
but
ultimately want
okay.
in a sequel film is a passing of the torch story, where the original characters are respected, and new characters are introduced who are in supporting roles. When plans for Ghostbusters
Honestly, if they did like a Billy and Thea movie where it's the daughters, I'd watch that. They were pretty fun. They did a good Bill and Ted impersonation.
3 stalled, it was the hope of fans that eventually a new film would see the characters take up the mantle passed down by the originals. What we got instead was Paul Feig trampling upon the legacy of the core group. When Ghostbusters 2016
It didn't even take place in the same universe. Who cares?
got wrong, Cobra Kai got right.
Cobra Kai is a good show. Check out Cobra Kai if you like the Karate Kid movies. It's on Netflix now. Netflix picked it up because YouTube is canceling all the, YouTube Prime original series. So go check out Cobra Kai. It's on Netflix.
The story continued while never losing sight of who the main characters were, bringing in new characters, fleshing them out, and giving you a reason to like them. Bill and Ted Face the Music follows much of the same tract. Though many assume that Little Bill and Little Ted were boys, they were never established as boys in Bogus Journey.
I am so shocked he's okay with this. I feel like the Quartering's gonna make a video and be mad about it.
Where they were actually played by girls. In the Midnight's Edge interview with Ed Solomon, he pointed out that making them boys would have seemed redundant. He also noted that making them super smart or cooler than their dads wouldn't work either, and one of the main concerns wasn't making them girls. Billy, played by Bridget Lundy Payne, and Thea, played by Samara Weaving, are an integral part of the story, but they are there mainly to provide support for the two male leads, who are front and center and proactively save the day. Just as in
They all do. They all save the day. Why is it that this guy's, like, bar for female characters that are okay is they're okay as long as they're providing support to the male characters? Weird bar.
Cobra Kai, where Johnny and Daniel are front and center, with their children being in integral supporting roles. Each complements the other, and Bill and Ted are never made to look foolish for their daughters to look better in the eyes of the audience. However, the most reaffirming moment comes when Death, played by William Sadler, is convinced by Billy and Thea to rejoin the band.
That was a cute scene. That was nice. I like that they got Death back in this one.
Death tells Bill and Ted that they had raised two good girls. And in one solitary act, the trope of the Hollywood bad dad was broken.
What? There are tons of movies that feature positive, like, father figures. What are you talking about?
Hollywood and the movie industry are prone to, if anything else, whatever the latest trend is. One week, it might be vampires. Another, it might be zombies, action movies, romantic comedies, adventure stories, science fiction, horror, giant robots, monsters of the week, film noir, westerns, superheroes, war movies. And yes, even wokeness. Nothing is immune from the grasp of its tentacles.
Like, having women in movies is not a trend. It's just like a thing that happens now. Are these people still going to be reading about this when 30 years, when there's still women in leading roles? Like, do they not understand that this is the norm now? The past, where there was just homogeneity in leads, where it was all, like, white dudes? That's weird. It's weird to have 99% of your movies star just white dudes. That's not how the population is. It doesn't make sense. Of course you're gonna have some movies that star women, and some that star men, and many that have a cast of a whole bunch of different kinds of people, both in terms of gender and race and identity and all sorts of stuff. That's the norm now. It's not a trend.
All trends, thankfully, have a finite shelf life. Here today, and when they stop making one more dollar than they cost to produce, gone tomorrow. We can only guess what the next trend might be. For now, tell us what you think about Bill and Ted Face the Music. And if you haven't seen it, are you excited to in the comments? And check back with us for our upcoming video about the possible woke purge at Disney, where we will go through what...
Another one of these channels. This is what these channels do, by the way. It's a scam. They'll, like, crib from each other. Again, that, like, guy we watched earlier who wore the robot helmet and he pretends to be a supervillain. He's the source for the claim that, like, Disney's gonna get rid of all the SJWs. And then he covers it, the Corden covered it, this guy's gonna cover it, with no evidence that it's true. Just because one of the other guys in this, like, subgenre of YouTube said it. All of them, like, make a video about it. It's such a scam.
We've learned and what it all means. And be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon.
Let's see what the comments have to say. Fans, why are pushing identity politics at the expense of the characters in the story? That's not something that happens most of the time. SJWs that don't care about the franchise and don't spend money on it but want to virtue signal, unleash the buzzwords. Give me, like, 3 examples of this out of the movies that were named. I'd love to see. Don't forget, one of the biggest ways they pumped up a white Captain Marvel was to make a strong black Nick Fury into a weak fool? What? Nick Fury was still, like, a badass in that movie. Are you talking about the joke where the Flurkin took his eye? That's just a gag. Who cares? My God. Anyway, it's enough from him. Probably do, like, one more thing, and then I might call it a night. I gotta go talk to someone I'm doing a debate with tomorrow. Or someone who's on my side for a debate we're doing with against other people tomorrow. So.